This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Site Broker, and welcome to Adult Site Broker Talk, where each week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week we'll be speaking with Dee Severe of Severe Sex Films. ASB Cash, the affiliate program for Adult Site Broker, would like to announce we've doubled our affiliate payouts. That's right. Now when you refer sellers or buyers to us at Adult Site Broker, you're going to receive 20% of our broker commission on any and all sales that result from that referral for life. You can either place a link to us on your site or refer buyers and sellers through an email introduction. ASB Cash is the first affiliate program for an adult website brokerage. Check out asbcash.com for more details and to sign up. Now let's feature our property of the week that's for sale at Adult Site Broker. We're proud to offer for sale a growing sex doll site. Started in 2016, it's grown to over $2 million in annual revenue. The owner is focused and invested heavily into SEO for the site, making sure it consistently ranks at the top in the search engines for the main industry keywords. As a result, most of the traffic and sales are organic, coming from people who have searched for sex dolls on Google. The store has an impressive SEO footprint tuned to long-term success. Other strong sales channels are the 25,000 plus person email list and an affiliate program which rewards content creators for referring sales to the store. The owner has developed relationships with the best TPE and silicone doll manufacturers. The products are drop shipped directly from the manufacturers to the customer. Along with these products, the store also offers some of its own exclusive sex doll and male masturbation models. The store has hundreds of 5-star reviews on the site and on third-party sites. It's consistently listed as one of the best sex doll stores in the world thanks to a focus on customer service. The store currently has no employees aside from the owner, who works 10 to 15 hours a week on the business. SEO is handled by an agency. This is a business that can be grown by a company with experience in the novelties field and has an experienced team in place. It's already a very healthy business that's making lots of money and growing rapidly. Only $2.72 million. Now time for this week's interview. My guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk is Dee Severe of Severe Sex Films. Dee, thanks for being with us today on Adult Site Broker Talk.
It's my pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, Dee is a director. She comes to fetish porn from a background in rock journalism. She was previously a writer for Rolling Stone, The Hollywood Reporter, and many other publications. She's also worked in mainstream indie film and had a gig as a pro dominatrix. Severe and her producer-performer husband, Jimmy Broadway, are lifestyle BDSM players. They co-founded Severe Sex Films with the aim of combining authentic BDSM with cinematic production values. Severe's films, Corrupted by the Evils of Fetish Porn and Mindfucked, a cult classic, won back-to-back XBiz Awards for Fetish Release of the Year. Sybil Troy is Vicious garnered an AVN Award for Best BDSM Release, while Charlotte Sartre, Filthy Angel, I hope I pronounced that right, and
It's Sart. It's Sybil and Charlotte Sart.
Okay, there you go. I did it wrong. Perversion and Punishment 13 were honored by the Alt Porn Awards as Best Gonzo Video. Severe has also been nominated for several XBiz Industry Executive Awards and was a panelist at the SXSW seminar, Using Explicit Sex as a Storytelling Element. Dee and Jimmy live in Las Vegas with their two awesome rescue dogs, Bella and Fiona. Now, you started out as a music reporter. How did you get into the adult industry?
It's a long and weird story.
Tell me.
I was in the music industry for quite a long time, and I started getting burned out on it because it's like when you're 20, a job where you have to go out to hear bands 5 nights a week is like the awesomest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Once you get into your 20s, a job where you have to go out your 30s rather, once you like a job where you have to go out 6 nights a week to hear bands gets to be like less awesome every year as it goes by.
Yeah.
So I was getting, I also kind of wanted to write my own stuff as opposed to writing about someone else's creative process. So
Sure.
I got into writing mainstream screenplays, and I had some limited success with it, but I was very frustrated with the whole process. It's kind of like in mainstream film, like, okay, you write a screenplay, your agent gets an option, you think, oh boy, it's going to be a movie, this is going to be so awesome, and that doesn't happen. What happens is
Hmm.
you get a producer who makes you rewrite it like 739 times. So you want to like throw yourself and the script and the producer off a roof because you can't take it anymore. And this goes on for like a couple of years, and you get some like renewal payments, and then something goes wrong with the financing, and the whole thing falls apart, and you have to start over.
Oh,
So
geez.
this happened to me like 4 times, and it was just kind of like, I hate this process.
Yeah.
I want to make movies. I don't want to do this. This
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
So by this time, I had hooked up with my beloved. I'd come out as a kinky person, and we met on alt.com. And he's involved in TV sports and other live TV production. So we joined a mainstream short film collective where basically people crewed on each other's movies. So the group made 60 short films in 3 years.
Wow.
And like some of them, like one of ours, like did a pretty good festival run and stuff. So we were like, this seemed like a better idea. This was like, at least we were like making stuff, and we were learning how to do it. And we were kind of like, at that point, this was like in the mid 2000s, and we're straight to DVD movies were still a thing. So we were developing like a low budget horror movie that could be straight to DVD. And right at this time, we were also like really broke at this time. So you're spending all these like time making like short films that went to festivals and didn't make any money. So we would go to this fetish club, which is no sanctuary, but was passive arts. It was a dungeon. And we would go there for like fetish night parties. And the guy who was running the dungeon kept saying, you should come work here. You'd be really good. So it was like, something that's probably not a bad idea. So I got a part-time job at the dungeon as a pro dominatrix. And this guy wanted to get into, like, he'd done a couple of like BDSM movies that weren't very good. And we were like, well, we have this film background. We could like do this stuff for you.
Yeah.
And so then we started making his DVDs, and we ran his clips for sale stores for 2 years, and proceeded to make all our rookie mistakes on somebody else's nickel.
Excellent.
And at that point, we just realized, like, this is so creative and so much fun.
Sure.
And all the people in like kinky porn are so much nicer than the people in mainstream film. And like, and like, we're actually making money at this. We're making like half this and half the TV stuff that my husband continues to do is like, this is like a nice income. We can do this. So we kind of took that ball and ran with it. And that's how I went from rock journalism to what I do now.
Wow. That's quite a journey. Now, was there a bit of culture shock once you got into adult?
Like a little bit. I was always like a really open-minded person, so I didn't. It's like, I mean, because we went to because I was part of the BDSM community first.
Right.
Like that part of it wasn't like, working in the dungeon wasn't like shocking that much. It's kind of like, it was a little bit of a culture shock when we got more into vanilla porn. But we kind of adjusted pretty quickly. And now there's so much, like, there's much more crossover now, because kink is like, thanks to the awful but very helpful 50 Shades of Grey, like kink has gotten much more mainstream. So those two worlds.
Why does everybody in adult hate that?
It's because it's like it's like really badly written. I mean, it's a really bad book. And it's just the way that it represents BDSM is like stupid and inaccurate. Nobody does that.
Okay.
You don't take someone who's like a complete newbie and kind of make them your like house slave and impose all this stuff on them without their consent. And they're like, that's abuse.
Yes.
That's not, like, a BDSM relationship is all about consent. It's like what he does in that book is like completely irresponsible and wrong and bad. But on the plus side, it got all these people going, you know something? Tying up my guy or my girl sounds like it'd be really hot. I think I want to do it. And then they got into it, and then they were like, well, we want to know about other things, so let's look at some kinky porn and get some ideas. And this
Nice.
stuff like ours got much more popular. So
Yeah,
even
yeah.
though even though I hate 50 Shades of Grey as a thing, I'm happy about the effect that it had.
Yeah, you're like the third person on the podcast who said that. So, what's the difference between working in mainstream film and in porn?
Mainly the nice people part. People
Yeah.
in people in mainstream film are so desperate to make it.
Mhm.
It's like they will assassinate your grandma. I mean, it's like
Or their own.
or their own. It's like there's this clawing thing where you really can't trust anybody
Right.
because everybody's so desperate. And so
Right.
and it's like, and nobody's really like, something good happens to you, people pretend that they're happy for you, but they're not. They're
Yeah.
really jealous and they're not supportive of you.
Sure.
And it's it's just the general. There's like an old joke about New York versus LA. In New York, people say fuck you when they mean have a nice day. And in LA, people say have a nice day when they mean fuck you.
Fuck you.
And so porn is more like New York, mainstream film is more like LA.
Interesting.
So
Go ahead.
it's yeah, porn is just like, it's just much more nice and fun, with the exception of some asshole people who are slowly kind of getting driven out of the industry. But
Mhm.
overall, people in porn are much nicer, and it's just they're people are more supportive of each other, and
Yep.
it's just like people have fun.
Yep.
Mainstream film is really not very much fun.
Yeah, that reminds me of something. I used to go on a lot of cruises, and the staff, you say anything to them, and they're like, "No problem, man." And
Mhm.
the one comedian was doing his bit, and he goes, "You know what that means, don't you? That means fuck you."
Have you seen The White Lotus?
No.
You should see The White Lotus.
Okay.
It's on, I think it's on HBO.
Hmm.
It's about like rich people at a swanky resort in Hawaii. That's exactly about that.
Okay.
You just said. It's really good. It's funny.
Okay. So, how did you get into the BDSM lifestyle? I always wonder how people find it.
Well, I think it's kind of something like, let me put it this way. When I was a little kid and everybody else wanted to be a Disney princess, I wanted to be Maleficent. Because she lived in a castle and she had like cool minions and she wore all black and she was just like, she had power.
Hmm.
So I think it's kind of like, I've always kind of been very edgy, and I've always kind of felt like with vanilla sex, like it was fun, but something was missing.
Hmm.
And there was like something missing out of those relationships. So I was like not like completely happy, even when I was in a decent relationship.
Okay.
And whenever there was a relationship that was even mildly kinky, even though there was like totally other things wrong with the person, like that's the one I'd be like really into.
Hmm.
So at one point, once I got divorced from my first husband, I was kind of like, something? I'm a kinky person. Like all my fantasies are like this. They're all about like power and control and kink and fetishes.
Mhm.
And like, fuck it, I'm going to do this in real life. Like I want this. I want this for my real life. I don't want this to just be like my fantasies. And then I kind of, actually, this was still in the 90s when people still had ads like in LA Weekly. So I put an ad in
Mhm.
LA Weekly that I was like a beginning amateur dominatrix, and I was like looking for people to play with. And then I got like 200 responses. And
Jeez.
yeah, so then I went like on lots and lots of dates, like with people, and sort of like ended up with like two guys who, between the two of them, made a really good boyfriend. Like they both had kind of had good qualities. And kind of played with them for about a year, and kind of got like, I would go. This was also like before, really, like this is like I said, mid to late 90s, and like porn really wasn't on. Like Kink was online, but that was about it.
Right.
And so you still would go down to like the dirty adult store and rent stuff, and I would go in there, and I would be like the only woman. These guys were like, "Oh my god, there's a girl in here!" and they would just be like so embarrassed. It was really funny. So then I would rent like fetish porn and like kind of watch it, get hints and stuff. And then like along the lines of this in my then I went online and put an ad in alt.com and again got an avalanche of responses. And one of the responses I got was my now husband of more than 20 years.
Wow. Wow. That's fabulous. How does kind of something that I was wondering about, being an adult, I'm non-judgmental. I don't, I don't look down on what anyone does about anything. But I mean, how do you think the general public looks at that lifestyle?
I think I think most of them think everybody in porn of vanilla porn or kinky porn is like a freak and disgusting, and that's just like we're the scum of the earth.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I think some people, if they're like open-minded people and they saw 50 Shades of Grey, they're kind of probably curious about kind of the more mild things like spanking and light bondage and stuff like that, which is one of the reasons why we have a series of instructional DVDs for just that purpose, so that people can do these things safely.
Nice.
It's called Kink School. There's a whole bunch of them because one of the things about BDSM is like kind of like the more into it you get, the more there's a capacity for like injuring somebody.
Yep.
So it's real, it's kind of like if you tie somebody's hands wrong and leave them that way, you can cause permanent nerve damage and stuff like that. Yep. So there's a point where you really have to, like get instruction.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
You have to be careful, and you have to practice things and kind of get into it kind of slowly, kind of have it be like an adventure with your partner where there's a lot of communication and
yeah, I mean, I was able to. I had the ability to go watch some BDSM shootings at the Kink Castle, the late great Kink Castle.
Yes,
back when they did the Why Not show there, and that was fascinating. I was like, I'm kind of looking. I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm actually looking at here, but and my poor wife. I mean, it was her first. It was one of her early trips from Thailand, and this very naive young lady from Thailand, and she's with me, and she's kind of looking at me, going, So it was interesting
funny.
to say the least. So, how has relocating to Vegas worked out for you?
We love it here.
Good.
It is. I mean, it's kind of there's so many nice things about it. It's kind of got, if you want to do the big city things and go to the strip and go out and go crazy and do all that stuff and go to shows and go to like sporting events, you can do all that. If you want if you want to have like a really quiet suburban life that's really peaceful and calm and affordable, and you can look at pretty mountains and clear air, you can do that. And the two things are like 20 minutes apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just, like it's much more manageable than LA, just in terms of like traffic and stuff and like that. Plus
what isn't?
Yes. It's like people complain about traffic here. It's like, honey, you have no idea. You have no idea how good the
only
traffic
place
is.
I have a problem with traffic is on the strip. I mean, the traffic on the strip is ridiculous.
Yeah, if you live here, you never drive on the strip.
Right.
You actually never go to the strip unless you're going to a show or something.
Yeah, I get it.
It's pretty much like downtown is actually like a lot more fun to me, like Fremont Street and that.
I agree. Yeah,
that kind of area.
Yeah, it's fun.
The other thing with LA for us is because we had a studio there. It's like our rent was just so crazy and our overhead was so crazy.
Sure.
That it was kind of like, we make really good money. Why are we broke all the time? It's because we had like this insane overhead, and also the gentrification of the main part of downtown was kind of pushing Skid Row into our neighborhood. So it was kind of like our rent was going up and the neighborhood was getting worse. So it was kind of like, this is not ideal.
Right.
But happily, a friend of ours took over our studio, so we can still shoot there, when we're in LA, which we do occasionally.
That's awesome.
But she doesn't live there, so it's like that works out better. Like we lived there, so it was kind of a little bit weirder.
Do you miss anything about LA?
I mean, I miss having the studio. I really enjoyed, like, Mike really enjoys building sets and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And it's like we had it was really nice to be able to like take 2 or 3 days and do like an elaborate set thing and then like leave it there,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to here where we have to rent things. I miss that. I would say that I miss the beach. Like we really enjoyed the beach
Mm-hmm.
when we lived near it, but once we moved away from it, we never went back there. So it,
Interesting.
yeah, it was, but I like when we lived in Redondo Beach, I really enjoyed the beach.
Yeah,
Um,
Redondo's gorgeous.
it's nice there. So
Yeah.
I mean, we go back probably, 3, 4 times a year at least. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
like, it's like we left LA and we can never see it again. So I don't really miss that much about it.
So, what do you like to do when you're not working?
I'm working all the time. I like to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a fairly basic person. I like to go to the gym. I like to go do things with my dogs. Okay, before the whole quarantine thing came around, like go out to dinner and
Mm-hmm.
like, we went to a Raiders game. That was really fun. I'm looking forward to doing that some more.
Sure.
Now that I don't have to review them, I still like going to concerts. We're having fun. So like your basic stuff. But I mean, we're pretty busy right now, so it's
Sure.
a lot of times like time off is like, hey, let's Grubhub. That'll be fun and different. You know.
Yeah. Sometimes it's great just to stay home and chill.
Yes.
So, what's
Um,
what's your favorite part of the job you do?
I really like directing.
Mm-hmm.
I like having an idea in my brain and then having that idea happen, like making what I see inside my mind be a real thing that's a movie.
Hmm.
And like editing is part of that. So like I enjoy the actual shooting process probably the most, but the editing process is like really vital for making that vision kind of come to life. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's my favorite. Like that's what I like to do. If I could just do that and didn't have to do any of the other stuff, that would be awesome. But you know, but there's other stuff, so I
Okay.
know that I need to,
What's your well?
you
Then
know, pro
I'll ask the next part. What's your least favorite thing about your job?
um I if I never had to program another clips for sale clip or write descriptions or do any of that stuff, like that would be awesome. Not big on any of that, but
Sure.
it's like which is why we've kind of arranged life so that other people take like most of our deals are with like other people who take a percentage of profit for doing the stuff that we don't want to do, and that works out
Cool.
perfectly. Um,
That makes it
like
good.
like our website and like all of our tubes and other stuff is done by Adult Empire, who are fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
So we just send them stuff and they do cool shit with it, and that they could do better than we ever could because that's not our thing.
Sure. Sure.
um and we have a kink channel, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Nice. So, how has the pandemic affected your business, and what did you guys do during lockdown?
we really lucked out. And I have to say I inadvertently have to thank Blake Shelton for saving her business. This is what happened. We had all kinds of plans for 2020, and like there was a concert. At that point, I was going through like this country music phase. So
Mm-hmm.
there was a Blake Shelton concert in LA at the Forum, and he did not have a Vegas show, and I really wanted to go. So we figured, well, what the hell? Let's just we'll road trip to LA, and then we figured, well, as long as we're going, let's go. Let's stay a week. Let's like really shoot a whole bunch of stuff with like our LA DOMs that we like, and like shoot a bunch of stuff in our old studio, and then we can write
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing off and we'll come back. So that's what we did. And then 4 days later, the quarantine hit,
Shit.
and our income for everything dipped like 70%.
Wow.
But we had enough new content that we could keep our website going through the quarantine,
That's awesome.
which kind of, I mean, it is still, like we made it through it,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of stuff went away for the time being. We kind of made it through it. And then as soon as we could safely start shooting something, we did, with
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of testing and like a lot of being really careful
Yep.
and kind of, like just dealing with people that we knew to be like responsible people.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much it. Like if that hadn't happened, if we hadn't had all that content, we would really have had like a big problem because there was just nothing.
A lot of people had that problem.
Yeah, it was rough. It was really rough, but it also on the plus side, well, kind of on the plus and minus side. Right before that, I bought a Mac Pro, like a really souped up one. You know how much those things cost?
A lot.
Yeah, we bought one of those, and on 1 year financing, mind you. So that was like happening. It's like, oh great, we have to pay like $800 a month for this computer on top of everything else,
Shit.
like with the quarantine going on. But on the plus side, like we got new cameras too at the same time. So we were having like this really great year, and it came with the DaVinci Resolve. So having quarantine gave me this time to just like sit around and learn DaVinci Resolve, which is considerably different than Final Cut Pro 7. So that was a good, that I made good use of my quarantine time.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So what's your philosophy when it comes to casting?
I like to deal with people who know what they're doing. It's kind of like
Makes sense.
I do not get the whole, I mean, I kind of get it for vanilla porn, the whole thing, like hire like the newest, most naive 18-year-old who got into the business like 4 days ago thing. We don't do that. It's like, I like people where like, I like stuff that looks real. I hate the style of shooting where it's like, okay, let's fuck for 40 seconds. Okay, I'm changing my camera position. Okay, fuck for another 40 seconds. Okay, let's change our camera position. We shoot 3 camera, and preferably I like people to not stop.
Yeah.
So like 99% of the time, if you got 3 cameras, you have a usable shot at all times.
Yeah.
And you get this velocity that way that you just don't get otherwise.
Sure.
It's got like an emotion to it, and it's just got like this power to it. And for that, like you need people who know what they're doing. Plus with like more advanced kinky stuff, you need people who've had some training. It's like I've said like a zillion times, just because you put a girl in latex and give her a flogger, that does not make her a dominatrix. Like we have people who have skills, and like once we find somebody who's got a good attitude and has skills, and like our fans like them, like we'll hire them over and over again. Like we kind of have a little repertory company of people that we like.
Yeah.
And we'll get, we try new things, like kind of like the new thing. For the most part, we've been doing femdom stuff, but lately we just shot like a romantic male dom scene that turned out great and it's been like really well received. So I think we're going to do more of that.
Nice.
That'll be like kind of like the new adventure and trying out some new people. But generally, yeah, I like people who know their stuff. I like people who are pros and who know their stuff.
I wonder why more people aren't shooting like 3 cameras as opposed to 1 and having to make the performers start and stop, because that's got to be real choppy.
I don't know. I don't know why more people don't do it. It seems so. I mean, it's not that much more. I guess people get used to a certain camera style.
Yeah.
And it's. I mean, in part, the editing is more complicated. Plus, we have an outside audio track because that's cleaner. So it's like basically you're dealing with like 4 tracks of stuff that you need to sync together, and then you're dealing with that as opposed to 1 track. So it's like more complicated. But I just think it works out better.
Yeah.
And you get a much more authentic thing. And for the most part, like for like features, all 3 cameras have a live human on them. For most things, there are 2 people on moving live cameras, and 1 camera is like a tripod master shot. That's basically like sitting there, and also is getting some BTS and stuff that is kind of like the backup camera.
Cool. So who are some of your favorite, you mentioned your kind of your go-to people, who are some of your favorite performers to work with?
Let's see, right now, probably Sybil Troy, who we won an AVN award with, is like one of my favorites. She's like a really top, very, very skilled dom, and she's pretty awesome. Let's see, who do we like lately? I really enjoy Vanessa Vega a lot. I enjoy people who can improvise dialogue well, and she's like really good at that. Like her and Kay Carter, who were both in our most recent feature, Strangers in a Book. Strangers in a Bar, and they both did a great job.
Okay.
We probably reuse guys more often than we reuse anybody else because, like, in part, like cute male submissive guys are hard to find. It's
Yeah.
kind of like there's like 10 like in the whole business basically. Um, so like those guys like Marcelo, Fluffy, Tony Orlando, Pierce Paris, Draven Navarro. They're all Vegas guys. Like we use them over and over again. They're awesome. The Allura Jensen's another Vegas woman who's really fun to work with. Kiki Dare is a friend of ours. We've worked with her forever. London Rivers, cool. Charlotte Sart did a super great job. She's a friend of ours. We've worked with her a lot. Those are some of our
Okay.
some of our peeps.
Okay. So how has the advent of OnlyFans and other such platforms impacted your business?
It's been really good for us. I mean, I think OnlyFans has been great for the business in general because it's forcing like the abusive asshole guys out of the industry. Because now women are making money on their own. So if like it used to be that, okay, I know this guy's like a really abusive jerk and this is going to be a miserable experience for me, but it's $2,000 and I need the money. So I'm just going to I'm just going to like suffer through it.
Well,
like,
at least one of them's in prison for a very long time. So
exactly. So it's like they don't have to put up with jerks anymore because they have their own money. Yep. So I think that's overall is really good. The other thing that's really good for us is a lot of times we get women who would rather share the content than get paid because they know that like if we pay them, that's like a flat amount. If they get the scene, they could put the scene up on their OnlyFans or their Just for Fans or their Loyal Fans or whatever else or their website. They can make like 3 or 4 times more than they would just by getting paid, which is great for us because that lowers our costs. So it's like a total, it's a total win-win. So we're all about the content share. It's like, so I love the whole OnlyFans thing. I think it's great.
Good. Now, do you worry about the right-wing powers that be in America censoring the adult industry?
People worry about that a lot. The one thing that I remember is in France, there are 25,000-year-old cave drawings that are porn. There was caveman porn. Like the second somebody had a creative idea, it involved porn. So there has been porn in every single society in the history of mankind from caveman on. And it's like a basic primal urge and no one will ever completely get rid of it. Yep. Will they manage to make our lives more difficult? Possibly.
Sure.
But people are, there's a lot of like money and lawyers and smart people in porn, so I'm sure they're on it. So
yeah.
I worry, there's so many other things. If you start worrying about everything that could go wrong, you're just going to be like miserable the whole day.
Yep.
It's like, climate change is probably going to wreck the planet in a couple of 100 years, and we should do everything we can to help it. But you can't really like worry about it every single day. Excuse me, as long as you're doing the responsible thing.
So got to do your best. Yeah.
It's the same deal. It's like, you got to just do your best, not do stuff that's stupid. It's like I remember like
sorry that counts out this country. I run into stupid every day. Sorry.
There's so much stupid, but also with porn, it's just kind of like, people like, who like get in trouble because like they used an underage person, and it's like, you're supposed to really carefully check their IDs and do all that. It's like you get in trouble because you lost your paper. Well, you didn't realize you were supposed to like keep good track of your paperwork.
Yeah.
You didn't realize like
there's morons out there who think because they aren't, because 2257's basically been defeated that they don't need to keep model records, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. They should, ask any attorney, but unfortunately, there's a lot of lazy people in our industry and also a lot of stupid people.
Exactly. We still do like all the 2257. We actually got
as you should
new and improved paperwork from Michael Federosi because there was some change in model stuff. So it's like, it's to not get in trouble, like don't do stupid shit.
Yes,
don't do stupid shit, and don't kind of like wave it. Don't wave yourself in people's faces.
indeed, indeed.
So
And Michael's awesome, by the way. He's been on the podcast twice. So
yeah, he's great.
yes, love him.
He's great.
So what is next for Severe Sex Films?
Well, we're shooting a lot, which has been great. We're looking for new locations. We are really like that's kind of the main thing. I want to find like new places to shoot. We're definitely going to do another feature this year. I've sort of got two candidates. I think it's going to be about a haunted dungeon. It's going to be another comedy with special effects. I like doing special effects. Now that I was in quarantine all that time and learned all the shit, it's like, ooh, I can do
Nice.
things.
Very nice.
Like we have our website, we have our kink.com channel, which we have. I think it's going to be like fun and interesting. There was like a big change over there, like kind of what's going on with them, but kind of that's our audience, so that's a really important part of our
Absolutely.
part of the puzzle. So
absolutely,
it's kind of like I always think of them as kind of like we're the well received coffee shop that has 5 locations and they're Starbucks.
Absolutely.
But we're both kind of the same, serving coffee.
Kink is amazing. I mean, what Kink has done over the years, oh my God. They're amazing. And I got to tell you, did you ever get a chance to go to the Kink Castle?
I didn't. Mike has been.
Okay. But that place was amazing. I couldn't believe it. Getting the tour, it was like, oh my God. That was what was so cool about when Why Not was doing their show in San Francisco, was that party.
I bet.
Well, besides the fact that when I was living in the Bay then, so I could jump on BART and go to my hotel and then take BART back home. I mean, that was pretty good too, but didn't even have to bring my car to the city, which is a beautiful thing. So, funny story about that. I was staying right on Market Street, and the last night, Kink party, drank a lot. I wake up in the morning and there's all this noise, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I look out the window, gay pride parade.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, fuck me. Does it have to be today when I'm hungover? But anyway, that was the Why Not show back then, and the Kink Castle party, classic stuff, man. Classic stuff.
I bet. But so yeah, that's and we should mention probably from now on, our stuff is going to be all digital. We finally decided to stop making physical DVDs. That's like kind of our other.
There you go. Well, you're probably smart. So where can fans find your content?
Our main thing is our website, which is severesexfilms.com. We also have, like I mentioned, a channel on Kink. So if you have a membership with Kink, you can go to our channel there.
Right.
Those are kind of the two main ones. We still have clips for sale stores, but honestly, ever since they changed their whole like structure of like the paperwork they needed, we kind of stopped dealing with it. So now it just like we had them for like more than 10 years, so they still make money, but we kind of stopped updating them so much.
Well, they were the big fetish player forever.
They were a big fetish player forever, but it's like now, and I understand why they need more documentation now. It just is so. It's like a lot.
It's cumbersome,
it's very cumbersome. Those are kind of the two main things. We are also, on all the main, like the big VOD. We're on like Hot Movies and Fetish Movies, ABN, Game Link, Adult Empire. So any of those, video on demand.
Excellent.
Oh, and before I forget, Smutty Flicks, which is big in Europe. We just
gotta love Mike.
We just started putting stuff up in Smutty Flicks.
Mike's another 2-time guest on Adult.
He's a good guy.
He's a wonderful guy. I think we're finally going to get to meet at the TES show. Cool. So looking forward to that. Well, Dee, I would like to thank you for being our guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk, and I hope we'll get a chance to do this again really soon.
I would love that. Anytime.
Sounds good.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. My broker tip today is part 5 of how to buy an adult website. Last week we talked about how to determine the value of a site, how to negotiate the sale, and how to get to the point of drawing up an agreement. So now you're talking to your attorney and you're having them draft the agreement. What should be in it? Well, your attorney will guide you through the legal side, but here are some considerations to keep in mind from a buying standpoint. What is the date you'd like to close? Make sure you know you'll have the money to either pay the deposit or the entire amount of the purchase by that date. I've had buyers who aren't ready, and that just causes issues. Make sure that all of the assets you're purchasing are in that agreement, such as every domain included in the sale, processing and payment accounts, relationships with the vendors, all records including 2257 data, software to run the sites, and any other assets such as source code for the sites. Of course, it should spell out any payment schedule if there is one. Who's responsible for closing costs, such as paying for escrow? And there are always terms that are unique to yours and the seller's situation. This assumes you're the party responsible for drawing up the agreement. If the seller is doing it, then it's important that you express all of this to your attorney so they can check the seller's agreement and see if any changes are necessary. We'll talk about this subject more next week. And next week we'll be speaking with Gavin Worrell of Verify My Age and Verify My Content. And that's it for this week's Adult Site Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guest, Dee Severe. Talk to you again next week on Adult Site Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.